Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate the mean by hand. I'm going to show you how to do it both for raw data and for grouped data. Following videos will show you how to do it on the TI-84 and in GeoGebra. So let's go ahead and pull up some raw data and a sheet of paper so we can work together. So you can see here that we have a list of raw data, the number of miles jogged per day by a certain individual. And you can see we have 20 data points. We learned in class to calculate the mean. We sum up the data values. So sigma x, the sum of the x values, divided by the number of sample data values we have. So for us, we're calculating a sample mean. We're assuming that this person ran for more than just 20 days. We're going to add up those numbers and divide by 20. That's how many numbers there are. So 1.2 plus 1.2, all the way down that list. Dividing that sum by 20, by the number of data points. You'll notice for lists that start to get a little bit longer than about 6 or 7 data points, you start to run out of room. You can write addition as a long string over several lines, but make sure that you use those parentheses so that we know we're adding all of those values first before we're doing the division. At this stage, we're going to grab a calculator of some sort. Just your cell phone calculator will do. I'm going to pull up my TI just because I have that handy. And we're going to type it in on the calculator screen, just like we wrote it on paper. So parentheses around the addition and then dividing by 20. Close parentheses, divide by n, and I get 2.99. We always round our mean to one place past the original data. The original data goes out to the tenths place. So I want to round the mean to the hundredths. And that value our calculator spit out is at the hundredths place. So I would just record my mean as 2.99. And that's all we need to do for raw data. Please note, if you are calculating this by hand, you do need to write this part out. I need to know what you added. I need to know what you divided by. If you're doing it by calculator, check those videos to see how I'd like you to show work. All right, so now that we know how to handle raw data, let's look at an example with grouped data. So I have a set of data that's already been put into a grouped frequency distribution for us. So I can see the class limits are 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, and 21 through 25. And I see the frequencies. When I'm calculating the mean for grouped data, I want to find the midpoint for each class and multiply it by its frequency. And then I want to add those up for each class. On the bottom, I'm dividing by the total frequency or the sample size. When I'm doing grouped data by hand, I prefer to either add on to the table that exists, or in this case, draw a new table for the midpoints and the frequencies and then their product. So midpoint, frequency, midpoint times frequency. So to find the midpoint, we take the lower limit, so the lower class limit or the lower boundary. We add to that the upper boundary or the upper limit, and then we divide by 2. What we're looking for is the number halfway between the lower bound and the upper bound, halfway between lower limit and upper limit. Looking at that first class, I can see that I've got 1 and 5. So for my midpoint, I'm going to do 1 plus 5 divided by 2, which is 6 divided by 2, which is 3. In the next column, I'm going to write the frequency. And the frequency for this first row is 6. And then in the last column, I'm going to write midpoint times frequency. So 3 times 6 is 18. And we're just going to continue working our way down that table. So 6 plus 10 divided by 2, that's 16 divided by 2, that's 8. We have a frequency of 9, and 8 times 9 is, last time I checked, pretty sure it's 72, because 9 times 9 is 81. So 72. Next class, we've got 11 plus 15 divided by 2, that's 26. Which is half of that is 13, and a frequency of 5. So 50, we get 50, and 5 times 3 is 15, so 65. I'm pretty sure somebody should check me on that. I'm going to check me on that. Yeah, okay, that works out. Next one is 16 plus 20. Which is 36, divided by 2 is 18. And then we have 18 times 3. And 18 times 3 is 54. And then the last one, we have 21 plus 25 divided by 2. And that is 46. Which divided by 2 would be 23, and our frequency of 2, and 23 times 2 is equal to 46 again. Once I have this table constructed, I actually get the 2 parts of my fraction for the mean. If I add down this column, that's going to give me the bottom of my fraction, my denominator. If I add down this column, that's going to give me that sum of midpoint times frequency that I need. So we're just adding down the columns. So 6 plus 9 is 15, plus 5 is 20, 23, 25. And then in the next column, we're going to add those values together. So 18 plus 72 plus 65 plus 54 plus 46 is 255. So our mean is just 255 divided by 25. And that's something else we do really quick on the calculator, 255 divided by 25, and I get 10.2. The numbers in the class limit column are whole numbers. That tells me my original data was whole numbers, so I should round my mean to the 10th place. And we were lucky in that it came out exactly to the 10th place. So we expect that our mean is somewhere between that second and third class. It's just a little bit past the 6 to 10 class. All right, so that's how you find means for raw and group data by hand. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.